been plenty of talk over the past few days about a motion that will be discussed tomorrow at City Hall in Halifax. That being putting a pause on new bike lane projects pending a review. Mayor Andy Fillmore says it's in response to growing public concerns over worsening traffic congestion and the increasingly expensive bike lane infrastructure costs. All of this has created a lot of conversation, not to mention some backlash from the biking community. Joining us tonight to talk about this, we are delighted to welcome Mayor Andy Fillmore to the program. Thanks so much for coming in tonight.
Good to be with you, Bruce. Thank you.
So first off, what prompted you to introduce this motion?
Well, as you just said, we are living through a time of tremendous congestion. Never before seen this kind of congestion in our city. In fact, about a month ago, we were ranked Canada's third most congested city, and in fact, the fifth most congested city in all of North America. So there's that, but there's more. There's also the fact that the $25 million price tag for our bike network has increased 4 times to nearly $100 million. Some of that will be covered as originally planned by the provincial and federal governments, but that is $77 million unexpected onto the tax rate here in HRM.
Who are you hearing from most, at this point?
I'm hearing mostly from people who are sick and tired of not being able to get where they need to go, people that are being made to be late for work, late to school, wasting time in vehicles, on buses that are stopped in traffic, where they could be with their families, where they could be at their jobs being productive. And this productivity question is, as you know, something we're grappling with in Nova Scotia right now, and this isn't the time to be making it worse with congestion that we could do better about.
How much are we spending on bike lanes right now?
Well, the bill has gone up 4 times to $98 million, nearly 100. We're $17 million into it, and we've got the remainder of that still to come.
So almost $80 million still yet to spend.
That's exactly right, and and 77 of that will be municipal taxpayer dollars. The rest of it, the small that remains, will be from the other orders of government. But there's also this challenge that we've had. I've discovered that this congestion, Bruce, has actually been an intentional strategy. So the previous council adopted something called the Integrated Mobility Plan, which positions congestion as a means to convince people to get out of their cars and into other means of transportation. And that works well in some cities when you provide the alternate means of transportation, like a bus rapid transit system or a bus system that runs on time, or rural transit. But we failed to do that here. So we've removed capacity in our roadways, but we haven't replaced it with the alternative that the council-approved plan called for. So that's a serious issue as well.
I don't have to tell you the biking community, they're very effective lobbyists, and have been for a long time. They're obviously not very happy with the way things are going here. What do you say to them that this is the way we ought to be moving?
I want the bike network built every bit as much as they do. In fact, as an MP, I was the author of the National Active Transportation Strategy. I worked with the Minister of Transportation to create a $400 million fund that will be drawn upon to build the network here in Halifax. I'm a cyclist myself. I would stack my cycling credentials up against anybody's in the cities, any of these other advocates. Yeah. So I want this done, but I want it done in a responsible way that understands the complexity of the situation that we're in. The world and our city is much different than it was when that plan was adopted. Any one of those reasons that I gave you, the ballooning costs, the congestion, the lack of alternatives being provided, and by the way, a provincial transportation plan about to be dropped for our capital region. Any one of those things should be enough for this council to want to take a pause and assess and make sure we're moving forward mindfully and intelligently in a way that embraces all that new complexity.
Some councillors are among the biggest advocates, like yourself, and what do you say to them to convince them?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that in the forum of the debate in the council chamber that they will listen like I plan to listen. I will always walk in that room with my ears wide open. But I believe it's possible that when they hear that this is not about stopping bike lanes in any way whatsoever, it's not about being pro-car, it's not binary like that, it's not good, bad, or yes, no. It's about all of us listening to each other, listening to residents of this amazing city, listening to our very talented staff, and making better decisions for everybody to build a transportation network that works for everybody.
You alluded to this a moment ago when you talk about some councillors pointing out there's federal and provincial money on the table here to do this. I think Sam Austin has said, well, you know, you're throwing away $8 million in other funding.
No, the homework is done there, and we're not giving up any funding from the provincial or federal government. We're entirely within the criteria of that fund to adjust the network and make design changes, and that's what really this motion is all about. It's about taking a pause on projects that will be shown to remove lanes or make congestion worse, and redesigning those. All the other projects that don't create congestion or make congestion worse can sail right on ahead. And I think the cycling community and some of my colleagues are missing that point. A great many of the construction projects in the bike network over the next 4 years will sail on without being touched by this motion. It's just the ones that are closing lanes and contributing to gridlock that I'm interested in redesigning so that we have a transportation network that works for everybody.
You want a harder look at the details here.
That's exactly right. I noticed on the screen a moment ago was Rainy Drive. People who have driven there, people who have driven on Bell Road or maybe on Almond Street up by Windsor Street. Everybody who drives in those places knows that lanes for cars and buses and delivery vehicles that, by the way, keep the wheels of our economy rolling, have been taken away and given over to bike lanes. That's not a bad thing, but not on the major thoroughfares like those. Why aren't they 2 streets over? On a quieter street, safer for cyclists, less costly infrastructure interventions required on those streets than there are on the major thoroughfares. So this is about redesigning the ones that are not working in the interests of all Haligonians.
Your Worship, we'll have to leave it there. I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Appreciate the time, Bruce. Thank you.
Mayor Andy Fillmore joining us tonight to talk about bike lanes, which will be a hot topic at City Council tomorrow. Plenty of other news on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be right back.